this audible and visible?
Availability of fresh water determines the future of nations. Every part of the world has specific issues limiting the access to safe water. Advanced research is essential to ensure water security. Born out of this need is the International Center for Clean Water, ICCW. ICCW is a place to ideate, nurture, and translate disruptive technologies for sustainable clean water. The sprawling 21,000 square feet facility is located at the IIT Madras Research Park and is the brainchild of Professor T. Pradeep of IIT Madras, a Padma Shri 2020 awardee by the Government of India. With over a decade of proven experience in tackling water contamination issues with homegrown nanomaterials, the need for a comprehensive center for water that caters to the world was visualized. With initial funding and support provided by H.T. Parekh Foundation, the center was inaugurated on April 22nd, 2019. ICCW will help anyone to translate a worthy idea on clean water to a viable technology. The incubation ecosystem of IITM will work in tandem with the intellectual and material resources of the institution to enable this translation. ICCW has highly trained and talented people, houses some of the world's most sophisticated and modern equipment, and is open to stakeholders from all over the world. ICCW has 7 state-of-the-art laboratories, an incubation hub for startups, a pilot production facility, and access to expertise of the ICCW team, IITM faculty, and our worldwide collaborators. Companies in the water sector are invited to join our consortium for speedy product development and technology validation. IP sharing and startup support is also available. ICCW consults in water management studies and implements water-saving solutions in partnership with emerging and eco-friendly technologies. Solutions are available for fluoride, arsenic, and iron removal, TDS reduction, and atmospheric water harvesting. ICCW implements these technologies through CSR funds with a 5-year maintenance option. It conducts workshops and interactive sessions involving all stakeholders on topics of relevance to clean water, such as RO reject management, rainwater harvesting, grey water management, low-cost sensors, etc. ICCW works as a medium to link clean water research to the global community. ICCW is a non-profit entity registered as a society under the governance of IIT Madras. It exists to serve the world and its inhabitants. It needs the participation of corporate houses and philanthropic organizations in projects that will make the world water secure. Contributions can be made through IIT Madras, which come with 100% tax exemption. These contributions will make a lasting impact on the society.
Good evening to you all. This is a occasion that we have just come out of a severe onslaught of rains in Chennai. I hope I am audible to all. Can someone respond?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So during this, onslaught of rains in the past 15-20 days, there has been several points of interest to people like us at the International Center for Clean Water. You might have seen just a video clip on the ICCW, what it's all about and what we are trying to do and so on. So in this topic of rainwater harvesting, we have been trying to do very small things in terms of development of training curriculum for the engineers, the budding engineers of Anna University, and we have developed a draft and we have been working with Dr. Sheikh this meeting, and he's going to be our doing. In the past, we have conducted around 11 editions of the Water Talks, and each Water Talk has been really enterprising as experience sharing amongst all of us, been in the past and during all these Water Talk series. And the last one we had Dr. Hariharan Chandra, who's again with us and who's also hosting this kind of a meeting through his Alltech Foundation today. Thank you, Mr. Hariharan, for accepting our request at the last moment and hosting it on your Zoom link so that we are able to create the registration link and sending it to all. So that way, we have been doing the talks, Water Talks, and it has been enterprising for us to learn every time when we get into such a discussion, such an interaction. It has been a great amount of learning. And we intend to do it probably every month, one talk like this. And this time we have requested Dr. Shekhar Raghavan to help us understand something about rainwater. And this is not the first time he's doing such a session with us. He has been doing this on many occasions in the past. And Dr. Shekhar Raghavan doesn't require any sort of a formal introduction, but anyway, to start with, he's the rain man of Chennai. And huge amount of examples we have from him in terms of installation of several rainwater harvesting systems across the city of Chennai and beyond. And he has a traditional way of doing the rainwater harvesting system, and he has several principles attached to it for doing it. And he's a no-nonsense man in terms of saying that rainwater has to be captured. That is the only source of water for us, and there is no other source of water for us. I don't want to go much into details of what Dr. Shekhar Raghavan is all about. We know him very well. We would like to listen from you, Dr. Shekhar Raghavan. Over to you, Dr. Shekhar Raghavan, for your experiences. We will have a short question and answer session once you complete your presentation, which you wanted to do. Dr. Shekhar Raghavan, are you able to hear us?
Yes. Thank you so very much.
So now you can probably start sharing your screen and the PPT.
Yeah. Is it visible?
Yes, sir, it is coming. It is coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Can you go to full screen mode, sir?
I think I've gone.
Okay, it will come slowly. Yeah, it has come, sir.
Yeah.
Please proceed, sir.
Thank you very much. Before I start presenting, I would like to convey our heartfelt congratulations to Professor Pradeep on being conferred the Padma Award 2020. So, as I've often mentioned, he has been my son's teacher, and my son has very high regard for him. So with that, let me go on with my presentation. The topic that I've chosen may look a bit odd.
The International Council for Water from IIT Research Park. They are.
So can I request the other participants to reserve your questions for some time until we get a momentum into the presentation from Dr. Shekhar Raghavan. We request the participants to reserve their questions.
Also mute your microphone, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it consists of 3 words: rainwater harvesting, open wells, and floods. I will tell you what the connection is between these 3 words as I go along with my presentation. I dare not talk about rainwater harvesting now, because people will simply throw me out. There is so much water now. Groundwater level is at ground level. and no recharge is possible. So I get calls for a different reason now. People tell me their house is flooded, what to do, is there any solution? I tell them there is absolutely no solution for the time being. Okay. So this is my name, and I'm supposed to be the director of Rain Center. And we have a website, raincenter.net. This is the photograph of the Rain Center. This is located in a place called Adyar, which is close to IIT Madras. Rain Center is a one-stop information and assistance center for rainwater harvesting. You should consider rain centers as bridges connecting people with rainwater harvesting, because people did not know what rainwater harvesting was, how to do it, how much it will cost, who will come and do it for us, and so on. There were several questions among the citizens. So therefore, we decided to start a rain center, which will probably address most of the questions. And I'm happy that this is the first rain center in the entire country. And it was inaugurated by our late Chief Minister, Jayalalitha, in August 2002. Yeah, the activities of the center is to create awareness. That is the first important objective of ours among various sections of the society, starting from school children, college students, architects, builders, planners, and so on. The next objective is to help people implement rainwater harvesting within their respective homes. All they have to do is to call us, leave the address with us. We will send our resource person, design a suitable system for them, and also tell them how much it would cost. We'll follow it up with a quotation. And this advice comes free. We don't charge anything for our advice. The third objective is to carry out periodic surveys and studies to find out what has been the impact of harvesting, what has been the compliance, and so on. Some visuals. We have posters, panels inside Rain Center telling how to harvest rain in an independent house, a multi-story complex, etc. What are the correct structures and what are the wrong structures? How do you harvest rooftop water? How do you harvest runoff water, and so on? We also have a working model. Yeah. So I would like to probably talk about the problem that almost all the cities in India face. They have floods during monsoon. We are seeing it now. And drought during summer months. Year after year, we see the same problem.
I think there's a problem in the internet.
Fine.
It is fine, Dr. Shekhar Raghavan. You could,
you can continue.
Video could be switched off.
Yeah, maybe.
What should I switch off?
Video could be switched off.
Voice. No, but if I stop the video, I will not be able to present, no?
You can speak. The microphone will be on, just the video alone. To conserve the bandwidth.
That's okay, but slides will not be seen, no?
Slides,
No, slides can be viewed, no issues.
Yeah, thank you. Please proceed.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not moving now. Slides are not moving.
Slides will move. You keep talking and they move the slide.
When I press the down arrow,
yeah,
it doesn't go to the next slide.
No, with your mouse, you have to click the slide once.
Yeah, click the screen with the mouse.
Once, yeah. Once with the mouse, yeah.
Ah, okay.
Now use, yeah.
These are some visuals. Flooding. And this is what you see during summer months. So if you analyze the reasons for both floods and drought, floods are caused essentially by shrinking of open spaces in cities and indiscriminate paving that we are all fond of. So rain does not find an inch of soil to percolate, nor does it find an open space to get collected. All the ponds and lakes which existed in Chennai have all been swallowed, dumped with garbage, and some building has been constructed on them. On the other hand, drought, we have overexploitation of water. The demand keeps increasing every year. The supply remains the same. And the attitude of the urbanites, taking water for granted, the apathetic attitude. And people do not realize that groundwater must have come from rain. So this lack of awareness is there among a large majority of citizens. So to solve these two problems, the only answer to both urban floods and droughts is rainwater harvesting.
Request all to kindly mute their mics, please.
भाई 3-4 दिन से चक्कर काट रहा है.
Okay, Dr. Shekhar Raghavan, please proceed. Request all of you, please be, please be sensitive to to this issue. Thank you.
Hello.
Dr. Shekhar Raghavan, please proceed.
Yeah. So I'm very unhappy that rainwater harvesting has not been understood by a large section of our society. So they consider rainwater harvesting as an alternative to other sources of water, such as municipal water, water from lakes, etc. This is incorrect. Everything is only rainwater. Water flowing in rivers, found in lakes and ponds, as well as groundwater. All this must have come from rain. This lack of understanding has led to lack of involvement by the citizens. I will explain the way we at the Rain Center have understood it. The earth gets water either from melting of ice or rain. In India, it is mostly from rain. So we should realize that rain is the predominant source of all fresh water on earth, and both Chennai and Tamil Nadu are not rain-starved. So I do a simple calculation, taking the area of Chennai, the annual rainfall of Chennai, and then multiply it and then get this huge number, and then divide it by the population of Chennai, which is approximately 10 million, and by the number of days. So you get an answer which is 163, which is every citizen living in Chennai can get 163 liters every day from rain alone. That is the potential. And it rains only for a few days in a year. So unless we collect that rain, we will run out of water for the rest of the year. This is what rainwater harvesting is all about. The key word to sustainable water management is rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is not an option, nor an alternative, nor a new technology, but the only way to sustain both our surface and subsoil water. Yeah, need for harvesting, as I said earlier, rain is the predominant source of fresh water on earth. And cities are not rain-starved. We get enough rain. In fact, the Chennai's average annual rainfall is even more than the country's average rainfall. We should not suffer for water. And it rains only for a few days in a year, which is called rainy days. Unless you capture that rain which falls during those rainy days, you will run out of water. And Chennai being a coastal city, what is not harvested runs off to the sea and gets wasted. So this is the flow chart which tells you all about rainwater harvesting. You can harvest rain only in two different ways. You either collect rainwater as such in a plastic or a masonry tank for immediate use, or put it into the soil for recharge. These are the only two things you can do with rainwater. It is relevant in both villages as well as cities at both the macro and micro levels. The relevance of collection of rainwater is in places where there is no metro water supply or which is inadequate, and where the groundwater is very bad and where water is outsourced. With these conditions, you should try to collect rainwater in a sump and make use of it. On the other hand, recharge is relevant in places where the quality of groundwater is not very bad. You would like to sustain it, and the soil is reasonably permeable, and the pre-monsoon water table is low. This is very, very important. At present, the water level is almost at ground level, and no recharge is possible, at least for the next 1 or 2 months. So what can harvesting do to a city? It can increase the shallow groundwater levels, it can improve its quality, and make us less dependent on municipal supply and help us achieve self-reliance in water. This happened in Chennai. The harvesting was made mandatory by the Tamil Nadu government in 2003, when everyone was asked to implement harvesting in their respective homes. But 2003 and 4 monsoons were bad. Whereas 2005, you may all remember, Chennai received a record rainfall of 2.5 meters as against 1.4. So when we did a survey at that time and found out that the groundwater level had gone up by 6 meters, a phenomenal rise in groundwater level. And the quality also improved. As a result, temple tanks have water in them. Earlier, they were dry and used as playground. I'll show you one example. This is a temple tank in Mylapore. You can see children playing cricket. So dry. Whereas, after January 2006, it is like this. Same temple tank after 2006 looked like this. See, a temple tank, to get water, the groundwater level will have to go up. Otherwise, you can never fill up the temple tank. This happened because of the harvesting that was made mandatory in Chennai. Yeah. So I will talk about the importance of open wells with respect to this harvesting and recharge. The residents did not realize that groundwater is available in two discontinuous layers, the shallow and the deep, separated by hard rock. For example, this drawing will explain it better. This one is the shallow layer, which consists of silt, sand, clay, gravel, etc. It is also called the alluvial soil. And at the bottom, you have hard rock. So these two are discontinuous groundwater sources. Because all your harvesting will only percolate in alluvial soil and remain here. It will not percolate further. So our forefathers had open wells. Almost every house, when I was a small boy, every house in Adyar used to have an open well. People were drawing water from that. But slowly, we lost faith in open wells and started closing them and dug bore wells, which go up to a rocky layer. And this water quality within rock may or may not be good as against the shallow layer. The well water will always be better than the borewell water. So now we are creating awareness among the residents of Chennai to go in for open wells. They can have a bore well, I'm not against it, but they should also have an open well to tap the shallow layer during monsoon and a few months thereafter. I'll later on tell you how this floods has occurred in Chennai because people have not tapped the shallow layer. So extract water from shallow source during monsoon and for a few months thereafter. After it gets exhausted, tap water from the deeper aquifer. This has been completely ignored or missed, particularly by the builders. The first thing they do when they develop a plot is to close the open well and go in for bore wells. An open well is a sustainable groundwater source. During every monsoon, the alluvial layer gets replenished and the well comes back alive. Yeah, this is another example of how a well located close to a water body. This is in Guduvancheri. Flat promoter has constructed huge complex, and he has for some reason retained the agricultural well that existed in that plot. You can see the water level remaining the same in both the irrigation tank as well as the well. It's essentially seepage water from the irrigation tank to the well. So far as you keep the irrigation tank in good shape, you will get water almost throughout the year. Yeah. So I'll spend some time talking about the Chennai floods 2021. I strongly feel that this is different from the 2005 and 2015 floods. For those floods, several reasons were given, particularly release of water from Chembarambakkam tank, the nallas and the rivers not having been desilted for several decades. And therefore it started overflowing even after a small rain, and stormwater drains not being maintained properly, etc., were the reasons given for those two floods. 2021 floods, those reasons would still be valid, except for Chembarambakkam overflow. Because this time, the government probably learned a lesson that you should not open it so much, and they are now doing it in phases. Earlier, they were allowing about 2,000 cusecs of water from Chembarambakkam tank to the Adyar River. Now they have increased it to 3,000, I think. That's all. So it's a very regulated flow in Adyar River. So that has not really flooded the city this time. So one reason that has been completely missed is the groundwater levels coming up to ground level in a large majority of areas of Chennai. This has been completely missed out. The rise has been happening since October 2020. Even from last northeast monsoon, this has been happening gradually. What was the water table high? How did it rise? The 2020 northeast monsoon was good. It pushed up the table to some extent, followed by 2021 southwest monsoon during June, July, August, and September. That pushed it up further. Even before the onset of 2021 northeast monsoon, the groundwater levels were quite high. We were doing a project of implementing harvesting in about 10 schools in Chennai. In almost 7 out of these 10 schools, the groundwater level was at 7 feet, even before the onset of northeast monsoon. We could not really execute the work. So even at that time, we realized that the first spell of northeast monsoon is going to flood the city. And it happened. Since November 2020, another reason for this water table to be high is that since November 2020, copious supply of metro water, thanks to CMW SSB, almost every area of Chennai got a good supply of metro water. And therefore, people did not bother to tap water from their open wells or shallow bore wells. It remained there without being tapped. So this is one important reason why the water table was high. What is the way out? It's my feeling that floods will stay for a longer period unless we draw water from the open wells and deplete the shallow aquifer. More rains, floods are going to be more severe. The IMD has predicted another low pressure area forming near Andaman. It's likely to come to Chennai in another 2 or 3 days. And if that is going to happen, the floods are going to be more severe. Even now, the apartment complex where I am living, we are now surrounded by water. And our wells are full. We are not even able to go out. No conventional flood mitigation measure will work, like pumping it out, pumping it from here and there and so on. Because this groundwater is simply coming up. But we have been pumping water in our apartment for almost 2 days continuously. But the water level has not gone down. So unless people draw more water from the shallow layer, this is going to continue and it's going to be more severe in future. And another thing about Chennai is that among the metro cities in India, Chennai has no water metering. Well, at least several areas of Chennai, I do not know. Only the commercial establishments have water metering. The residences don't have. So unless this is brought about and there is a tariff, people will not switch over to groundwater extraction. To encourage more citizens to tap the shallow groundwater layer, there should be water metering. Something similar to for electricity, where 100 units are given free, first 100 units. We can also give some 10,000 liters or 20,000 liters free for every house and then start charging. But that is not happening. Maybe the government will do it in the near future, hopefully. Concluding remarks. Till now, the slogan has been making water. Everybody is concerned. From now on, the slogan will have to be extended. Making not only water, but also rainwater harvesting. Everybody is concerned. No more lip service to water and rainwater harvesting. Water and rain will have to be understood beyond words. And water management should no longer be just a bureaucratic exercise, nor an academic one. It should be a people's movement. Love water and rain the way we love our children. A few slides, then I will conclude. Catch rain, it's free. Thank you. Sir, I'm finished.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the enlightening ideas once again, I would say, Dr. Shekhar Raghavan. It's been a journey again that we have been learning from you more and more. I have some few queries that have been posted in the chat box. while I go to that, if there are any specific queries from Mr. Ram Kumar, who has been our good friend from IIT Madras alumnus. Mr. Ram Kumar has been part of IOCL's activity, Indian Oil Corporation Limited, and his passion is on rainwater harvesting once again. So that way, Mr. Ram Kumar, do you have any specific questions on to Dr. Shekhar Raghavan?
I think thanks a lot, Contrast Professor Pradeep, and thanks, Sripati. I hope you are able to hear me clearly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are able to hear you.
In fact, let me thank Shekhar Raghavan. I used to interact with him for his wonderful passion in taking this exercise forward. And I myself have been fortunate to work for the last more than 20 years, implementing practical rainwater harvesting in different terrains of the country. What we are driving, I'm also driving it through the IIT Madras Alumni Societal Impact Action Tool. Our theme is, the National Water Mission theme is catch the rain where it falls, when it falls. So as Shekhar Raghavan rightly said, before floods comes, we have to harvest every drop. That means every residential complex, every institution, even roads, once we catch the rain, take it into the ground, then floods can be mitigated and water can be stored. Because only Mother Earth can store the water. And there are different designs of rainwater harvesting. And that itself is a fantastic subject. I'm sure I can share my experiences through your forum sometime. And once again, learning from very experienced people like Shekhar Raghavan, listening to his talks, understanding the importance of open wells. In fact, as he rightly said, the removal of the open wells is the greatest cost. Even my own house in Kamakodi Nagar, where I'm staying now, by terrace water going into the open well, the blackish water has become good water, better than tanker water. The ppm is less than 500 ppm. So open wells is a very important concept by which we can mitigate a lot of our problems. Once again, thank you. Definitely, I'll share more in detail. And my regards to Mr. Shekhar Raghavan.
Thank you, Mr. Ramkumar, for your thoughts. There are some questions, Dr. Shekhar Raghavan. I hope you are able to listen.
Yes, sir.
Able to hear me?
Yeah, yes, sir. Go ahead.
Very basic question, sir. I'm in fact, a layman's question. I would pose it where, we have been seeing water table is very high. Water table is very high. And does it mean that we are, consuming very less? That's why the, the water table is high and there's a over flooding, all that. Is that the reason, sir?
Yes, of course. See, in fact, Metro Water Board is spoiling us by giving us more water.
Okay.
If only they start charging. See, for example, even in Bangalore, a kiloliter is 22 rupees.
Okay.
So some of the apartment complexes, they close the Kaveri water and start tapping the groundwater.
Okay.
That kind of practice should be brought to Chennai also. Start charging them. So they will switch over to, see, it's something like, you have put a lot of money in the bank and not spending it. The money remains in the bank.
Okay.
So similar things happened, but then this has led to floods. That's the most unfortunate thing.
We have been hearing, sir, and we have been witness to copious rains in the past 15 days to 1 month now. So when we have this issue, in the next few months, I think we will be getting into something like, we don't have water. Where is the water? It is not available. Shortage. Everything is going to happen. Why is this sort of a puzzle keeps coming, sir? Is there any insight that you can give on this?
No, for example, I don't want to make it look controversial. But the point is, there are a lot of water bodies. See, the Chennai has expanded from 174 square kilometers to 426. So in the extended area of Chennai, there are a lot of water bodies, traditional irrigation tanks, which are being abused. There are a lot of encroachments, a lot of garbage dumping, a lot of liquid waste being dumped. They are very, very precious things that our forefathers have given it to us. We are not even able to maintain them, revive them, rejuvenate them, and store a lot of water. That has not been practiced at all. See, we try to bring water from Veeranam. It's about 200 kilometers away. Whereas there are several such irrigation tanks nearby. There are people who say this Chengalpet and Kanchipuram districts have close to 3,000 water bodies which have lost their agricultural relevance. I'm not saying we should take it away from the farmers, but they have lost their agricultural relevance and therefore they can be revived and water supplied to Chennai. But such things are not being considered at all. It is very unfortunate. I mean, saying more than that, I mean, will be not good.
There is a question from one Ms. Hemalata. Is it possible to deepen the well, what we have, which is only 9 feet to 30 to 40 feet? Is that safe to do that? And will it solve the problem, what we are facing now, like continuous spring water coming into the well?
Yeah, see, generally people don't go in for 9 feet deep wells. At least 20 feet is the normal depth for an open well.
Okay.
And we go up to 30 feet. So it can be deepened provided the present diameter of the well is more than 3 feet. Because deepening is always done with a smaller dia ring. So if you had started with a 3 feet, then it's very difficult to deepen it with 2 feet dia rings. Whereas if you had started with 4 feet dia rings, then you can deepen it with 3 feet dia rings. It is possible. We are doing it in several places, but not to 40 feet and all that.
Okay.
It's enough if we go up to 30 feet. Beyond that, it will become more expensive, more risky job. So we can confine our depth to about 30 feet, and it is possible.
So Professor Pradeep has a question, I think.
Not that I have a question. I thought I could probably add some thoughts here so that there could be additional questions along or suggestions along those directions. Look, Shekhar Raghavan, that was a fantastic insight, as it has always been. What a pleasure. I want to add some thoughts here so that others could also add. Ram Kumar and several others who have been sort of extremely involved in these activities. Can we make some specific suggestions? Of course, there have been hundreds of suggestions. But what has happened now is that there is a huge climate-related issue that is looming large on us. 20 years ago, things were 84 time onwards. It was a different scenario. Today, climate change, everybody understands, everybody realizes that there is something looming large on us. And from that 1200 mm, we are at 1400 or 1500 mm or even more sometimes. And these catastrophic events are repeating. So we need to look at something very different. This is one aspect. So in that context, traditional harvesting to harvesting in climate change is another very important direction. Indukant Ragadu, can you please mute your microphone? So this is one aspect that one has to discuss. Another thing is that in the current scenario, are there critical, very important suggestions that we can give it to the government? For example, you talked about open well. Can we give water credit? Can we implement water credit differently? For example, those who have wells of 9 feet, 10 feet, those who have 30 feet, those who have larger diameters, those who have collection, whatever rainwater harvesting, are there water credits that one can implement? And that water credit, can it be monitored, monetized in some way? I'm sure that you must have thought about all of these. So if there is some thought in that direction, maybe our youngsters who are all participating here could also add something. My suggestion to Sripati would be to consolidate these and make these as a sort of a suggestion, a recommendation that we can see whether it can come up somewhere. I know that Induka Dragade and all these people are around, and quite a large number of inputs will be available. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. I could get that. I'm trying to consolidate the inputs that we are getting through this interaction. And as in the past, it has been very enriching even today on several aspects of rainwater harvesting. Though it is a traditional, conventional system of harvesting and so on, it is still a learning phase that we are getting into. Kindly, yeah.
Let's take the suggestions from Shekhar Raghavan and then and Ram Kumar and Induka Dragade and see how this others can then chip in.
Yes, yes, we can do that. We can do that.
See, about climate change, I'm not competent to talk about it. But the only difference that I'm seeing is that the rainfall these days are quite intense, which was not there the earlier days. So that is the difference that I'm able to see. And to receive such intense rainfalls, I feel the traditional water bodies will have to be kept in good shape. So that will reduce flooding to some extent. I'm not saying completely. And you can harvest a lot of rainwater in those traditional water bodies. See, why are we not looking at it at all? See, as I told you, it's a treasure that has been given to us. It's very difficult to create one. So we should at least try to preserve them. So that is very, very important. And another thing about open wells that I want to tell you is that they did an audit for CMDA in 2015. So we were asked to carry out an audit for the compliance and impact of rainwater harvesting. Our former Chief Minister Jayalalitha wanted an audit to be carried out. And she specifically said it should be done by an NGO. And that audit was given to us. We carried it out for 2 years. And in the set of recommendations that we made, one of them was every plot should have an open well. If there is one already existing, it should not be closed. If there isn't one should be created. So that was one of our recommendations. So I do not know how far the CMDA has brought it into their rule book, but all our drawings have been incorporated into the CMDA. They have brought out the building rules 2019, in which our drawings find a place in Annexure 22 of the building rules. These are the two observations that I would like to make.
There was a question from Ragul of WWT.
Professor Pradeep wanted certain of my views also. No? Shall I complete?
Yeah, please go ahead, sir. Please go ahead.
Professor Pradeep, as you rightly recommended, even our own IIT Madras alumni group, we have been working on trying to catch the rain wherever it falls. That means the residential building, the public offices, even the roads, all the places, trying to harvest the rain within their own area. For example, in our own building, like maybe my complex, I'm able to retain more than 90% of the water into my ground, my plot, with maybe different types of methods. The methods of rainwater harvesting are distributed rainwater harvesting methods based on soil strata, because soil can take lesser amount of water. So distributed artificial rainwater harvesting works better. Even for even the roads are becoming the drains in the cities during the rainy season, because the number of rainy days has come down when you look at the statistics. The rainfall content may be same. So roads becoming the drains. Can we harvest those waters, those rainwater also? These are the thoughts we are working on. And certainly we will also share with you. Our group also will share with you these thoughts. We have been working on a lot of thoughts, like trying to capture water wherever it falls, so that we mitigate the floods. These are the thoughts we are already doing, sir. And whenever you get time, we'll have an interaction with you. We have done a lot of extensive work on this, and we'll finalize and we'll share these thoughts with you. Our IIT alumni group, very, very passionate group. Even we can meet you and share also. Our pleasure to interact with them. Yeah.
One Mr. Muttukal wanted to ask the question. Can you ask the question, Mr. Muttukal?
Good evening, sir. This is Muthukrishnan from Chennai, Ashok Nagar.
Okay.
Before asking question, I thank everyone for this arrangement and opportunity.
Okay.
I personally attended a few seminars at ICCW a few years back, and
Okay.
also visited Dr. Shekhar Raghavan sir Rain Center House. And thanks for his contributions. I have read a downtown chapter in Hindu newspaper recently, last Sunday. Kalakshetra Colony and Sitamal Colony in Tenampet and somewhere Raipuram or Rayapeta. So they did the recharge well properly. Even in spite of the more flooded around Chennai, their streets are not affected. That's the input I have seen in the paper. But I need more explanation from him that because being a citizen of Chennai, everyone is using the groundwater. So in what context he is like to explain we are not utilizing the, we are not tapping the groundwater, he said. I'm still unable to understand that aspect. Either metro water or common man taking the groundwater through bore wells, or even metro water from the lakes and distributing the water. So I'd like to more explanation from Shekhar sir. Thank you.
You know, definitely the copious supply of metro water. There cannot be two opinions on that. So people feel that metro water is definitely better than groundwater. So when they get it free, almost free, they would like to utilize it. And they do not tap groundwater at all. Even my own apartment complex, we are guilty. We use only desal water from Nemeli. And we do not tap our well water. One thing. Secondly, the deep bore wells tap a different aquifer. That will have to be very clearly understood. Tapping the deep aquifer will not lower the shallow aquifer.
What is it?
So, drawing water from the deep aquifer will not deplete the shallow layer. Okay. So only open wells and tube wells, which are shallow bore wells, so to say, will empty the shallow layer.
So how the water table got increased very recently in 2 years alone? You showed in the present PowerPoint presentation, but you mean to say the recent rains or last 2 years contributed the water table well?
Both the rains, consistent rains that he received, as well as copious supply of metro water.
Okay.
These are the only two reasons for the water table to come up.
Dr. Indukant Trikade, are you?
Yes, sir. Can I make a comment, sir?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I am a little bit confused. It is, I think, no doubt or question about rainwater harvesting not being done by a good number of a substantial percentage of the population. Am I right?
Okay, right.
Given this, if the existing rainwater harvesting systems and situation with that itself, if the groundwater level is coming up to groundwater, shallow water table is coming up to groundwater, it will be a total disincentive for those who have not done rainwater harvesting to go in for rainwater harvesting. Because whatever has been done now is able to bring the level to the ground level, shallow well. I'm a bit confused in this. I don't know, I'm not very clear of this.
But it's a fact that the groundwater level has come up to ground level.
This will be a disincentive for other people not to go in for rainwater harvesting.
What can anyone do about it?
No, I'm saying then it means that not everybody has to do rainwater harvesting.
Yeah, I did not push it up. Nature pushed it up.
If nature has pushed it up, we don't have to do anything, isn't it? That's what it means.
So harvesting will have to take a back seat now.
Back seat?
Yes, for the time being.
That's what it means. But there still be a disincentive for more people to go in for rainwater harvesting in this year.
May I make a point here, Mr. Ragade? May I make a point here? This is Nandakumar. I just want to make, I also had a similar observation. My reading of what Dr. Shekhar Raghavan has said is that I'm also experiencing something similar in the apartment complex where I'm staying, that we have made bore wells which are very deep.
Okay.
And at that depth, we are getting salty water. And when Dr. Shekhar Raghavan came and he asked us to build some open wells, he said that you have very sweet water at much higher levels, but you're unnecessarily using the wrong aquifer and depending on metro water. So somewhere I find that all of us are saving rainwater, but not using it. I think that's the point he made. But we should use that water. Otherwise, the water table rises and we're going on buying tanker water, which leads to flooding. So I wanted to ask a point to Dr. Shekhar Raghavan that several apartments today may be in a similar situation where they have dug deep bore wells, which you have shown in your picture also, which may have a different constituent of contamination. Yes. Can the same bore wells be used if we simply raise the pump from where the submersible pump from where the suction is happening? And can we tap a higher level of water, which is anyway available in the same bore well? I'm sure there would be different layers of water, I guess. And we are drawing from the wrong source. Is that possible? And can we instruct people that they can raise their suction and enjoy sweet water? And somewhere, maybe we may need to bring some regulation that before the monsoons, there must be a water level measurement. If that is not going noticed, then as Mr. Indukant Ragade is saying, it may be a disincentive and people may resort to knee-jerk reaction saying, look, we already harvested enough rainwater, let's not do anything, which may not be the right thing, right? I think we are not taking advantage of the water we have harvested for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Something is missing.
Can I just answer that? See,
yeah, sure.
Deep borewells, even if you raise your suction, the water is at a lower level. So even by raising the suction, you are not going to get water. The only clue for that is when you dig a borewell, you put a casing pipe, which is a PVC pipe. Okay? That PVC pipe, if it is a slotted PVC pipe, then the alluvial source will get into your deep bore. So then you are connecting both the shallow and the deep layers. So that is possible. But the point is the borewell diggers somehow run away by putting a plain casing pipe. We should insist with the borewell digger that we need a slotted casing pipe in order to enjoy the benefits of harvesting in our deep borewell.
So I just wanted to reconfirm that there is a solution today for the existing bore wells, which may have been wrongly designed or designed for some historical reason.
Yeah.
In today's context, is it possible to rejuvenate them and use them, or should we, decommission them and look at new wells? That was the question I wanted.
We can. It's a very, very tricky job. Very tricky and expensive job.
Yeah.
See, what you will have to do is remove the top 20 feet of pipe from the existing bore and then replace it with a slotted pipe. If you do that, then there is a chance that you are enjoying the harvested water also.
Sir Arun here, I have a clarification.
Yeah.
Is it good to have open well water during rain time, because most of the water, the sewage water is getting mixed with the storm water drain, and I have a fear that it will get mixed with the open well during rain time.
No, but that is only a myth. I mean, that's only a blind statement. See, you can test your water before using it. I'm not saying you should blindly use it. Give a water sample from your open well to a lab and ask them to test the water for both salts and bacteriological contamination. And then use it.
Okay. The point number 2, sir. I am staying in Ranga Road. Here, most of the apartments which are built with basement, they are having continuous seepage, and almost last 12 to 13 days, the water is being pumped out into the stormwater drain, and already the stormwater drain is overloaded because of this. So what is the solution for this? And I'm seeing it many areas in Chennai, this is the case.
Yeah, even I was involved in the Ranga Road incident. Okay. See, CMDA should not give approval for basement car park in shallow water table areas. For example, the same thing is happening in Besant Nagar. Besant Nagar, the aquifer is shallow, but they have given approval for basement car park in 1 or 2 places. So these people simply pump out the water that is collected in the basement.
I'm still confused.
They are essentially emptying the aquifer and putting it into the sea. So the CMDA, before giving approval, should be very careful. They should not blindly give approval for basement car park.
Getting in.
Whereas they can give stilt car park. There's nothing wrong. But basement car park, they should think twice before approving it.
So it is best to reconstruct those apartments, correct, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I cannot suggest that. But Ranga Road specific case, it's a shallow water table area.
Okay.
So they should not have given.
Thank you, Mr. Arun, for your questions. We have a few minutes left for concluding.
So this is Soundarajan Rangachari from 5th Trust Cross Street, Chennai, Mandavali. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time for us to give you the presentation to us. Thank you so much, Shekhar sir, and the organizers of this. It's a small question, sir. I'm staying in 5th Trust Cross Street, where I have in this road, where you see one side we have rain waters goes to the storm water. Another side we don't have a line where it stays stagnated over there. So is it possible that we can put a pits like a borewell, as you told, like in the streets where the water can go inside? Is it possible, or it is what is your suggestion? That is my simple question. And the second thing is, what is happening here is the sewage water is coming out of the main line, and it goes to the rainwater also, where there is a lot of trouble. So what will be the suggestion? What will be your input on this to do this needful? Thank you, sir.
For the second question, I don't have an answer.
Okay.
You have to approach Metro Water Board not to do this.
Okay, okay.
For the first, you can create recharge wells, not pits.
Okay.
We can create recharge wells on the road itself.
Okay.
Which is about 15 feet deep.
Okay.
And 3 feet in diameter.
Okay.
We put a perforated lid on top.
Okay.
A very thick lid, so that the stagnant water will get into the recharge well and get harvested.
Oh.
In fact, to tell you more about this, we have got a grant from Wipro to construct such recharge wells on roads.
Okay.
For 40 locations.
Okay.
But it's 50-50. The resident will have to shell out 50%. Our trust will put the remaining 50%.
Oh, yeah.
But nothing can be done for another 3 months. Because of the shallow water table. We will not be able to dig any well right now.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for your input.
Mr. Kaulagi.
Dr. Indukant Ragade, we have some more questions. Can you hold on a bit? Mr. Chandrasekhan had a question.
The common point on your thing about the borewells. Mr. Shekhar Ragan suggested that you could remove the first 20 feet of the borewell casing pipe and replace it with a slotted pipe. In effect, it means digging a pit up to 20 feet. What can be done is you can dig a 3 feet well itself with rings, put the slotted pipe, which means you will have the water from that you can draw, and whatever extra water is there will go to the deeper level. So you can do that. I just wanted to make this point.
So, Mr. Chandrasekharan, are you there? You want to ask the question? You had typed it on the chat box, but if you want to ask the question, you may do it now. Or we have some more questions lined up. Okay, I think Mr. Chandrasekhar is unable to hear us, but he has asked me the question in the chat box. In our apartments, we have done rainwater harvesting as well as rainwater tapping. Rainwater from the terrace is being channelized through pipes and filtered, sent to the underground storage sump. We have tapped the whole of the rainwater from the terrace. We have done the facility to not to let the rainwater. Every bit of water is channelized. I don't know what is the question he has been asking in this. He's saying whether all these rainwater can be channelized. I think that is the question which Chandrasekharan is asking.
Generally, only rooftop water is fit for collection. We don't direct the runoff water into a sump because that may have a lot of dirt, muck, and so on. So as a discipline, we will only divert rooftop water into the sump for immediate use.
Dr. Hariharan, are you there? Do you have any
One
questions?
point.
I'm here. Thank you.
Entire rooftop we may not be able to take it to the sump. The balance can be nicely harvested by different techniques into the ground. They are doing a very good job of not sending any water outside Mr. Chandrasekhar is not sending any water outside onto the road. I think that is a compliment to him.
I have no questions. Thank you. It's been a very interesting conversation. I've loved every bit of it so far. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the patient listening. And I know there will be a lot of questions all over. There is a question from one Chitra. Will the water from the shallow aquifer not percolate to the deeper wells and hence will not be sufficient to use the usual deep bore wells regularly? That is a question, sir.
Yeah, that's what I said. If it's a plain casing pipe, you have to replace it with a slotted casing pipe.
Okay.
Then you will be able to connect these two aquifers.
Okay.
So basically they are discontinuous. So that is possible.
So many questions on, sir. How do we stop seepage from basements of apartments? Is that possible?
Not at all. See, unless the construction quality is good, unless they put thick walls on all the sides and at the bottom, thick concrete, then it's bound to seep in otherwise.
Okay.
So my point is they should discourage more and more basement car park.
One question from Shivakumar. He's saying my water storage tank capacity is 40 KL. Algae fungus formation is there. To treat this, 2 ppm sodium hypochlorite every fortnight is added. Is this correct? Or any other method for treatment?
It looks like it is correct. But the point is the cover should be perfectly sealed cover. The sump will have to be closed with a reasonably good cover so that you don't allow sunlight to enter the sump. I feel if that is done, no algae formation will ever occur.
Okay. Ramya, do you have any questions? You have typed it on the chat box. Do you want to ask it now? Ramya,
yeah, I'm here. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, Dr. Shekhar Raghavan. Thank you for your talk. My observation that I wanted to make was I have a small kitchen garden here in Aripuram. And despite all the flooding happening all around, there was no flooding there. All the rainwater simply went into the ground, into whatever aquifer is there. So I was wondering if these flooding or high water table or no water is more of a local problem. And hence we should focus on delivering a solution that pans across, that evens out, where there, as you said, some places have shallow aquifers and some have deep. So some are getting, maybe our recharge wells are not working properly. Desilting is not happening, or maybe there is a lot of clogging, stormwater drains are clogged. So n number of problems could also add to the flooding is my thing that I wanted to share.
Yeah, I agree with you. See, but this groundwater level coming to ground level is one of the reasons. I'm not saying that is the only reason.
Yeah.
For flooding. See, for example, in Aripuram, I don't think the water table is very high. At least in places where we have worked. For example, Rani Mayamai school in Aripuram, where we did some harvesting. The water is at ground level.
Right.
So I don't know which part of Aripuram you are referring to.
I'm on School Road. I'm on the School Road and the stormwater drains are all full. The roads are flooding. But my kitchen garden, there's not a drop of excess water. All the rainwater has gone into the ground. No, in fact, I worked in our apartment actually a couple of years back. So
no, but the best indicator is peep into an open well.
Open well, yeah.
That is the best indicator for the water table. not by looking at...
Even if the open well is not silted.
Open wells hardly get silted. It's only recharge wells will get silted often, not the open wells. Because open wells will only bring spring water, I mean, seepage water from the soil.
Sorry?
Open wells will not get silted up so easily.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks,
Unlike
Dr.
recharge
Ramya.
wells.
I have one more question from Dr. K. Kumaresan, I believe. Can you
Sripati, actually, we have Rick Bacon from the US. He had something to raise on E. coli. Good morning, Rick. Would you want to chip in here and ask, share your view on this?
Yes, thank you very much indeed. So I've been asked to advise a rainwater harvesting project in Rajasthan. Sorry for my pronunciation. And the issue is there's very little rainfall, firstly, so it's not like Chennai where you have substantial monsoons, feast and famine. But the one thing that people haven't given consideration to, and is an issue, whether it's domestic harvesting or rain park, central harvesting, is the issue of disinfection. And that's a cost that has to be, and a requirement that has to be managed appropriately. Someone asked about dosing of hypochlorite. All of it's not just getting rid of algae, it's the issue of the presence of E. coli. And that is, you only need, this is not like arsenic where there is a limit, you only need one E. coli to cause serious health problems. Where you have one E. coli, you have more than that. It's a problem. So has anyone given any thought to how the treatment of this water, whether it's a rainwater park or individual homes, takes place as part of the whole water cycle?
Okay.
No. From my experience, rainwater does not contain E. coli and all that.
No.
Isn't it? It's
not
pure...
the problem of rainwater, it's the problem of where it's stored and how it's stored and how long it's stored for.
Yeah, that could develop something. I'm not...
Sure. Chandra, since you are right now in a region which is similar to the kind of terrain and water landscape that Rajasthan has got, do you want to respond to Rick Bacon on the question of how, when you store, you have to see how you battle these challenges of treating it? Chandra. Are you there, Chandrasekhar, from WhatsApp? No.
He's listening to it very much, but I think he's not answering your question.
Okay, fair enough. Rick, you have raised something pertinent. Dr. Raghavan is not able to offer you a dimension because he's only confining himself to rainwater itself and its harvest. Maybe we'll flag that down and see how we work on that another time into another conversation, Rick.
Thank you so much. It's I'm very interested in this project. I have an interesting project in Rajasthan, and I'm looking for engineers who would work with us on it. So if any engineers on this, please
if I may ask, which district of Rajasthan would this be in?
I can't. I've got it written down in an email. I can share it with you.
Fair. You could do that offline, and then I will talk to some of these members at the ICCW2 and see if we can come in with some inputs that could help the project. Yeah, we can always do that.
That would be incredibly helpful. Thank you, Harry. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick, for your question. We have one last question, I believe. Dr. K. Kumaresan, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Thank you all for a nice session when a lot of rain is going on in complete Tamil Nadu and Chennai. And now Sir Raghavan sir has told another idea of making the more quantity by constructing dug wells. Dug wells for our old structures. Then we switched over to the technology. We went to the tube wells. Now he wanted wherever the dug wells can be constructed, it can store more water so that we can store it when we get a more rain. Okay, it's a one option available, good only, because in a coast we live. So our hydraulic gradient also is very important. Seawater intrusion should not come. So keeping the groundwater pressure always, it is always good that we get a fresh water. But again, going for the dug wells now in the urban area in Chennai, it may not be much possible. That is one thing. Then we have, on the geology of the Chennai city, as he told, alluvial aquifer on the top. Some places we have a sandy aquifer, some places we have a clayey aquifer, some places we have a sandy clay, some places clayey sand.
So Dr. Shekhar Raghavan, you are able to hear what Dr. Kumaresan was saying?
Yeah, but he said
so
it's
again,
not...
below than that, we get a Charnakite on the western part. Now, wherever... Are you able to hear, sir?
Yes.
Sir,
hello.
The question is a bit long. Let him
yes,
answer.
Sir. Now I wanted to say that in the wherever the clay part is there, the stagnant water is not being recharged. If you say the North Chennai, western part and all, clay aquifer is there on the top, you don't get recharged. If you come to Adayar and all, where I live, the entire ground, whatever the water has fallen, storm water, everything, all the sandy aquifer, it goes on. It doesn't mean that the first aquifer is not connected to the second aquifer. It always gets connected somewhere. It will get connected. Okay. Now, wherever clay part is there, let us put a shaft recharge structure. Shaft will connect to the another aquifer, then your recharge will take place. That is one type of a suggestion which I wanted to give in this occasion, sir. Dug wells is also a good, okay, storage can be made and it can be used. And even Mr. Raghavan came to our colony also, he suggested for the dug well, and we also have the dug well here. But again, wherever clay part is there, dug well will not go for a good there, then recharge shaft may be suggested. That is what I feel, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kumaresan, for your insights. And probably one last question would be from Mallika Venkatramani. I will read the question. My well had gone dry and it has been changed to soak pit, but I would like to make an open or bore well, as I would prefer to have my own source of water and not depend solely on metro water. Will I be able to get guidance in this?
Yeah. The first mistake they did was to convert it into a soak pit. So they should not have done that. Because the soak pit did not be very deep. And it should not be very deep. Because soak pits are made for the sullage. To go into the soil where there is no underground drainage. In areas where there is no underground drainage, they go in for soak pits. But soak pits are only about 5 to 6 feet deep.
Correct.
So to convert an existing open well into a soak pit is not the right thing to do. Okay, having done that, it is definitely possible to dig another open well. Of course, money will have to be spent.
Yes.
And there are different varieties of open wells. The diameter varies from 3.25 feet to about 6 feet.
Okay.
So thank you, sir. I had to make it into a soak pit because the well had been dry for a very long time. And after very heavy rains, a little bit of water will come, but nothing else was happening. This happened when my neighbor made a bore well. Until then, my well, I won't say it was a very good well, it was fairly good. So I thought this might be, at least if I can't get water out of it, at least I will use it to put water into the ground. So that was my thought on this. But I really would like to make a well. I have a very small place that's possible. So I'm thinking I want to go in for at least a small open well, my first preference. And secondly, if that is not possible, then I would at least like to put a bore well in another spot. And my house is completely, no drop of water that falls in my compound goes into the drain. I either collect or I charge it into the ground. In fact, I even use my gray water for my gardening purposes. So I'm that way done very well. But I would like to have my, I know my metro water is very copious right now, but I do not want to depend on that. So that was where I want help.
Which area is it?
Anna Nagar.
Yeah, Anna Nagar, why do you have underground drainage, right?
I do have underground drainage, but I don't want to send the rainwater out. And I don't want, if I can use my kitchen water and all that, why should I send it up, put it in the drain?
No, but you should not put it into an open well, which is very deep.
I'm not putting it into an open well. I'm going into my garden after going through a pit with the filtration pit. It goes into my plants.
You said you have converted your open well into a soak pit, right?
Yes. Into a recharge pit, not a soak pit. Into a recharge pit. I might have used the wrong word.
If it's fresh water, it's okay, but not wastewater.
It is a lot of the rainwater that falls in my backyard, which is cemented, and part of what's coming from a smaller part of my terrace. So it is that is clean water that's going into the ground. So
thank you, Mallika Venkatramani.
So my question is, will I get any help? Because I'm very, I do not know anybody that makes an open well, and really do not want to get taken for a ride.
You can get in touch with us after January.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Shekhar Raghavan, and all participants, and Dr. Hariharan for your patient listening and organizing this small session with Dr. Shekhar Raghavan. You have been a good host the last two occasions, and we request you to be a good host in the coming occasions also, and the sessions as well. Mr. Ramkumar, Professor Pradeep, Dr. Kumareshan, Mallika, then we had Soundararajan and many others who posted several questions, and they have spoken out also. Thanks for their insights. I think this is the time to close this session. Probably again, as I said in the last meeting also, this is not the end of this discussion. This is going to be the start of many things that are going to come. With Dr. Shekhar Raghavan guiding us and many things of rainwater harvesting, we would come back to you, sir, on many questions like this, as we have been doing. We will connect with you separately on this. And we had Rick Becken also from US who had shared some thoughts. Thank you, Rick, for spending your time and trying to join here. And thank you for all the participants who have made it in the last 1 hour. We will again assemble for our next session, probably on December 17th is what we are planning, one before the Christmas vacation is about to start. We will again come back to you on who would be the expert who's going to join us and share his insights, share his or her insights on many aspects of water. It's been a good learning once again for us, sir, Dr. Shekhar Raghavan, on many aspects of rainwater, and we would like to engage with you more and more as the days to come. Thank you, Nandakumar, for your question as well. Dr. Ramya Dwivedi for your question. Thank you all for participating and making it a very interactive session. Dr. Indukad Bargade for his time also.
Thank you, sir. My pleasure.
Are there any comments from your side, Dr. Shekhar, before we conclude?
No, it was a wonderful meeting. So thank you very much for having given me this opportunity.
We have recorded this. We will send this clipping to you so that if there are any questions which we have not attended, we can still write to them. There are some chats saying some email IDs and phone numbers and that we can grab that and give it to you also. And probably if we would urge people to visit the Rain Center also in Adyar, Gandhinagar.
Yes.
And we would urge you to visit ICCW also, International Center for Clean Water, an initiative of IIT Madras located at the IIT Madras Research Park in Taramani. Thank you for joining us. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let me close the call now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pallavi for your support from Alltech Foundation. Dr. Hariharan for your support. Sneha for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you all. Thanks so much. Bye.